this week, PWI, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, announced some changes to their criteria for the PWI 500 this year. They announced that going forward, they will integrate women's wrestlers into the PWI 500. This is partially taken from the full release effective this year. The PWI 500 will include wrestlers who, regardless of gender, best fit our usual criteria: win-loss record, technical ability, influence on the sport, success against the highest grade of competition, success against the most diverse competition, and activity. This year's PWI 500 will include wrestlers who excelled against opponents of any gender or who held traditionally male or gender-neutral championships. For the first time, multiple women will be included on the list. Frankly, this is long overdue. Women who compete exclusively or almost exclusively in women's division/promotions won't be ranked in this year's 500. However, they will be eligible for the women's 100 list. We acknowledge this is an imperfect system, but it seems to us to be the most equitable approach for now. Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Asuka will likely be ranked near the top of this year's women's 100. Could they one day be ranked as high in the PWI 500? They very well could. Wrestling is evolving, and PWI will evolve as well. Bottom line, we are moving in the direction of a PWI 500 that is truly gender inclusive. For now, we want to ensure that everyone has a chance to be acknowledged for their accomplishments. We feel that opening up the list in this way is a step in the right direction, unless you're the boar. Man, I've had a lot of interest watching the boar, our friend the boar, and PWI go back and forth on Twitter this week.
Yeah, and I'm gonna champion for him.
Absolutely, I think he makes very valid points.
Right, and so for those of you who don't know, you can follow him at Boar is War on Twitter. Independent wrestling star, the Boar of Moldova. But he is he's kind of a unicorn nowadays in wrestling. He is legit 6'4", legit 260 plus pounds.
He's a real big dude.
He's a big man. Like, he's big.
He's a big dude.
And yeah, he's a hoss. And if you look around wrestling nowadays, like, Boar is closer to a Keith Lee size than he is an Adam Cole size. And he's bigger than, like, everyone you just watched on Fyter Fest. So the first two things that the PWI top 500 is taking account in is win-loss record in a sport in which right. Winners and losers are determined
predetermined
inside the
right,
and technical prowess.
Yeah, technical ability is the number two.
Everyone can chain wrestle, and everyone can do triple Spanish flies and whatever. So you're encouraging people
the flippy
to
floppies.
Go out and wrestle 45-minute mat classics to draws because you can't lose because it's going to impact your win-loss. It's
well, that's assuming you're in a company that has time limits.
Thank you.
It's in, like, I don't know, the biggest wrestling company in the world. When was the last time you heard any match on Raw or SmackDown or WWE pay-per-view list a time limit on the match?
Probably the last Iron Woman match.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
Grip. But either way, like, it's the PWI 500 is something that's really fun to look at. But I don't think that it is now or probably ever was a legitimate ranking of the best superstars or the best wrestlers in the world. Because if that's the case, like, WWE doesn't hire bad wrestlers.
Right.
Like,
well, they don't hire
anymore.
wrestlers. They hire sports entertainers.
Yeah, like they don't hire bad dudes.
Like unless it's the PSEI top 500
or the sports entertainment wrestling whatever. Like it's just funny to me that like we're still talking about the PWI 500. And like I'm sure that the 500 wrestlers or whenever a wrestler makes the PWI 500 their first time, they're stoked.
Sure.
But I guarantee you that if a wrestler gets put on the 500 and they're at like 480 something and they see a dude who they shared a locker room with at an indie that's at like 370 and they're like, I'm better than that guy. I wonder why the dude at 370 is 370 and you're at 480. Is it activity?
Right. Like, is it
influence on the sport?
Right. And I
like,
mean,
what is it? Like, and it's so arbitrary. It's not like the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame where there's actual writers who are judging and people get put in.
Sure.
And then like their peers, like other people who have been on the ballot, like it is a novelty. It's about as serious as the 3 Count Thursday greatest wrestling theme of all time. Whoa.
You watch your mouth.
Don't you dare take that.
We think it's great. We love it. And you guys love it. And there's a bunch of wrestlers, a bunch of fans that think the PWI 500 is the Bible. And then there's other people who are like, okay, you're selling copies of a magazine.
And like, here's the thing. Like we've had obviously former guests of our show that have made the list, and you know they couldn't be happier that they ended up 315 on the list, which is incredible. Like, you know, for everybody, that busts their ass and, you know, goes in the gym and goes to training and, you know, works on the weekend and drives from, you know, New York to Pennsylvania or Maryland almost every weekend, to put on these shows with some of the better indie companies on the East Coast. Absolutely. Like, I don't want it to come across that we are downplaying, something that is super important to them, because, if we've been nominated in different years for different podcast awards online. Of course, we had the one with Andy Weinberg where we were podcast of the year in 2017. But there was other times where, we got nominated for things and we didn't win them. But in the same time, yes, Tim.
I have an actual legitimate question.
Yes.
So this is the PWI 500 for the year 2020, right?
Yes.
Over or under 500 active wrestlers in the year 2020, with everything that's
definitely
going on
under
in the entire world, because this is a worldwide thing. Japanese wrestlers, the luchadors, everyone. Is there 500 active wrestlers who will have wrestled at least one match
question
in 2020?
Well,
absolutely.
500.
Johnny Jeffrey, he's gonna make it full. What?
Like, we took 3 months off, but if depending on how things bubble or not, we could lose like another 2.
I mean, well, if one of the criteria is influence on the sport, there's a lot of talent that stand behind plexiglass at the Performance Center every Monday, Wednesday, Friday that cheer and bang on the glass. That's influencing the sport. So
does WWE's WrestleMania's #1 fan make the PWI 500?
It fucking better. It had a shirt on the WWE shop.
The ceiling fan at the Performance Center.
But yeah, it's that's an interesting question as well. Like the 2020 PWI 500 is going to be a very interesting list to see when it finally does come out. And I don't know, like, and because obviously if you're revising the criteria, and maybe that's part of the reason that they revised the criteria
to include women,
because maybe they're sitting there going, guys, we're gonna have trouble filling this list. And obviously some indies are starting to pick back up, so you can probably find 500, but it's
like it's tough though.
It is going to be tough.
It's not. I don't know. Like it's really poopy, man. Like it's a real crappy time right now still.
Yes.
It's a reminder, like actually sitting and thinking about a PWI 500, like now I'm like, well, yeah, there's all those indies that I'm not going to, or
it's
a bummer. All those indies I'm not doing commentary for, and
it blows.
Yeah,
it blows.
Yeah. And you were gonna debut as the commissioner. You were gonna commission your first Fed, and
my first company. We had to postpone the show, and it sucks, man. It sucks. It's been obviously for numerous reasons beyond independent wrestling, it has been a crappy year. But that's another part of it as well.
It's just the icing on a real dirt cake.
Yes.
Sitting here tonight, who do you guys think the number one wrestler in the 2020 PWI 500 will be then?
Wow.
Drew McIntyre.
I'm like
John Moxley.
Okay.
Because he's a technical wrestler and he grapples, but he's versatile and.
I'm going to give it to a guy that just lost his world championship last night, Adam Cole.
Okay.
Bay.
Old Bay.
Old Bay from Maryland, right?
Old Bay from Maryland, from the mean
Do you
streets.
want to know who I think makes top 10?
Who's that?
Roman Reigns.
Because he was the smart one.
Influence on the sport. He
worked the start of the year.
For right or wrong, like this year is going to be notably absent of Roman Reigns.
Sure.
Like I don't think there's ever been a bigger hole in a time period. Like this might be the biggest hole we've seen since like that one weird time where Austin took his ball and went home, but The Rock was also like doing movies at the same time. And they brought The Rock back. I'm not entertaining that flim flam from my fellow pundit who broke Big Jim.
He's broke.
By the way, she pooted.
But what I'm talking about.
Right. Like there's the hole that Roman has left in the WWE.
Gaping.
It is kind of unfillable.
Jesus.
Except for Roman.
You are really talking about Sonny here.
I'm talking about the hole that Roman's leaving.
Yeah, no, yeah. I agree. I mean, like, again, I've never been
to be a large man to fill that hole, yeah.
I've never been the biggest Roman Reigns fan. I've never denied how good Roman Reigns is, but there has been multiple times in the last, and I'd say especially more in the last month or so, because the longer this goes on, the empty arena shows it's becoming normal. Like I've watched like Tuesday nights on FS1, they've been showing classic the pay-per-views, and like this past Tuesday was the 2017 Royal Rumble. And now watching old shows with gigantic stadiums filled with people feels weird to see that many people in a space together.
2017 Rumble, that was the Roman Rumble, right?
That was the Roman Rumble.
Okay.
But like, just, and I didn't watch much of the Rumble match, but that was Cena versus AJ Styles. banger of a match. But like, I'm sitting there watching it, going like, it feels so weird to now see large crowds of people and wrestling in that setting, because it has become normal to see WWE at the Performance Center with, 11 people in the crowd, and for AEW to be at Daly's Place with, the SCU and whoever is at ringside.
And Kip Sabian holding up a Twitch sign.
Yeah, so like it's like it has, everything has changed. Ryan, who do you see as the number one in PWI?
I think it is the steadfastness, if you will, of Seth Rollins that will have him repeat the 2020. I just think he has evolved his character a lot over the past 12 months.
I love this Rollins, by the way.
And I think it's a solid choice in a otherwise unknown, these trying times. Seth Rollins has got us through.
Like, I know, Tim, something on your other wrestling podcast, The Final Wrestling Place, a term that you refer to many times is height of their powers.
HOP, baby.
I feel like right now is Seth Rollins HOP. That may be a bold claim.
Tough.
But
that's tough.
Like this Rollins is so fucking good to me.
The Rollins with the authority before he blew his knee out, where he was double champion and he fought Cena and Sting.
You can't see me. I know that's Ryan's favorite, Seth Rollins.
Like that Seth Rollins is like almost untouchable. And then like the Seth Rollins we got where he like wins the Rumble and then goes on to WrestleMania. Like Seth has had multiple
real good years,
HOP-esque stints.
I know. This is at least the one I love the most. Lou and Devin both say Drew will be number one this year. And I think Nikki says Seth will be number one. She loves Seth Rollins.
If Otis doesn't make the top 25, the whole list is
it's a sham. It's a sham.
Oh yeah, Stucky, we have our top suspect, Tomato Chips.
We might as well hit the rest of them.
I feel like Tomato Champs is what he calls everybody in AEW.
Tomato Chips.
Tomato Champs.
Absolutely. I agree.
Brian Cage, the Tomato champion. Got that tomato. He's got that tomato FTW championship.
Tomato Chips.
No. Cody Rhodes is that tomato championship.
That is definitely the
tomato chip.